Our test speaker is Martin Pitt. The big stage doesn't create champions, it reveals them. The big stage doesn't create champions, it reveals them. Martin Pitt. You're welcome.
Imagine that this stage was magic. Imagine that everyone that walked onto this stage instantly became a captivating and inspiring public speaking champion. That'd be nice, because I've just walked on. Yes, every time we walk onto a big stage at a big occasion, maybe it's a contest, maybe it's a wedding speech, we focus on that stage and those few moments that we have on it. Who here has gone to the next level of contest and felt like, I'm not good enough, or I don't belong on that stage? Surely your first time you felt that. Wow. I'm trusting it's because you guys are introverts. Who has felt that? Yeah, good. There's a few more of you. For me, that happened last year at an area contest. And I just won the contest. I was on top of the world until the announcement at the end. Winners go on to represent their club at division level. That's a bit much. I'm not good enough to compete with those guys. That little voice saying in the back of my head, you don't belong at that level. Thankfully, I had some support. After the contest, a good friend of mine, Monica, a fellow member of my club, who'd also just won one of the other contests, in a beautiful moment, she put her arm around me. She could see what was going through my mind, and she said, Martin, you were amazing. You belong at the next level. You'll do great because you're a champion. With her arm around me. A truly special moment. And the words that I needed to hear, but I didn't believe it, unfortunately. So then, a couple of days, well, actually, a couple of nights later, I had that nightmare. I was standing at the front of the stage, the beginning of my speech. I was shaking, sweating. My pulse was racing. I could feel the weight of expectation of my club members resting on me. I could see their faces in the audience looking at me, and my mind went blank. Blank. And I had a moment of panic when I realised I didn't have any pants on. And in my recoil I woke up. And the racing heartbeat, the tremors, and the sweating were real. Thankfully, the rest of that for me was not. I was shaken, but not discouraged. In fact, I was motivated to do everything I could to prepare for that contest. I knew that my moment on the big stage was an opportunity to show what I could do, to reveal my capabilities. And I got curious. I thought to myself, how far can I actually take this? And so I did everything I could to prepare for that contest. I got up early before work to do an hour of preparation every day, most days. Reading books, watching YouTube videos of public speaking champions. seeing how I could improve my speech and delivery. I took every opportunity to speak at my clubs, all 4 of them. Getting feedback, taking on board every bit of recommendation and asking the experienced club members for more. And I refined my stories, taking out a few unnecessary details and adding in a few more true, actual facts to make my stories more real and more relatable, and sometimes sound a bit better. And perhaps the most difficult of all, I videoed myself speaking and watched it back. That first time was horrible. But if you ever try doing it, believe me, it gets better after a couple of times. I'm not sure whether you actually get better or you just become blinded to your own. That happens. So that's what I did. And I knew that on that big stage, I could be proud of myself and hopefully demonstrate to everyone that I was a champion and win the contest. Because those contests, they provide an extra level of motivation to lift our game, to be better public speakers. I've experienced it, I know many of you have experienced it, and I hope that it's something we can share with many Toastmasters in years to come. But it's not the stage that we stand on that magically makes us better speakers. It's the hard work behind the scenes. It's the countless hours of preparation day by day. It's the years of meetings and experience building up to improve ourselves as speakers. So, find your big stage. Put in the work. Turn those nightmares into dreams. And you too can become a contest chair.
So, please make welcome our first speaker, Annie Martin. Annie Martin.
Who would want that nightmare? I love that story. It can be a complete nightmare, the dreams you have before you're up here on the big stage, as our subconscious plays it through. What an entertaining speech, and what a very well prepared speech. It is respectful to an audience to know your speech, to have thought about it, to have constructed it, to have worked out your stage use, and to be able to deliver that with your hands and your feet in congruence with your message. So preparation, as we all know, is what makes winners up on this big stage, and Martin did that so very well today. He also knew his audience. Jock Elliott once said, "Your audience is your living breath." It is. And Martin knew his audience. We're Toastmasters. We want to hear about this. We want to hear what it's like on the big stage. Superbly done in terms of what we need to know and getting inside how we all feel about that. I do have 2 ideas for Martin just to consider and maybe for the audience to think about as well. And the first one relates to delivery and the second one content. The delivery was exceptional, but there was a point where the stage might have been flipped, and we had a point here, the most sad, worrying point. He was sweating, shaking. If we're sweating and shaking, we're at the back of the stage and our hands are here and we're sweating and we're shaking. Flip that. It's even powerful. And then, of course, it flips into the reverse side. It's a dream, and you get an even bigger laugh because you've taken us further back in the poignancy of your speech. The second recommendation I have is with your title. Always think about a title that does not reveal the main game. Titles are important. They need to be intriguing and often to make sense by the end of that speech. So the title, "The Big Stage Doesn't Create Champions, It Reveals Them." That actually explained Martin's speech. I knew what it was going to be about. Maybe there is a way to make it slightly more intriguing along the way of something like the revealing stage. But what I absolutely loved about Martin's ability was to get the audience to participate, but more than that. It's one thing to ask a question of the audience, put up your hand, but he could pivot because he actually didn't get the response he expected. He said, "Hands up here if you've been worried," and not many did. Now, he corrected that so beautifully by coming back and making a joke of it, and not many people can do that, so full credit to you. So to summarise, beautifully prepared speech. You really delivered us a very powerful message and you knew your audience. We were your living breath. Consider the body language, reversing that, and think about that title again. But my gosh, you are bound for the big stage. Thank you so much.
Please may welcome our next speaker, Jo Evans. Jo Evans.
What a wonderful and gorgeous, inspiring speech this morning. Contest chair, fellow Toastmasters guests, and of course, Martin. What I loved was he used the wonder word, as far as I'm concerned, to start off, imagine. When we use the word imagine, our audience just go into our world. So therefore, he was asking us straight away to imagine, to walk on the stage, to be a champion, which is the most incredibly universal message for this audience. The second thing that I loved that he did was his self-deprecating humour. I didn't have any pants on. We all laughed. When our speakers make us laugh, we like them more and we're more open and receptive to their ideas. And the third thing I loved that he did was the great use of the stage. When he was talking about standing at the front of the stage, he was truly standing at the front of the stage. And then when he talked about being curious, he went back and he used the timeline amazingly when he was talking about his journey. And he even went from being a smaller body to being strong over here. I have 3 suggestions to make Martin's speech even more amazing. And they are all around bringing you, the audience, in. Martin used the word imagine, talking more about himself. I would suggest something around, imagine yourself up here. And then just pausing. So right at the beginning, using the imagine word and really, really bringing you all in. The second thing is to be even clearer, although it was already clear because of the amazing title, to say what his goal was. So something like, I want to use my experience and my encouragement to help you all to imagine one day you could be here. I'm using that word imagine again because I think it's so powerful. My final suggestion is around having even greater vocal variety. I think Martin spoke quite a lot at the same level. So perhaps something Martin could have done would have been to whisper to the audience. Now, he has a microphone on, so we can use whispering. Something like, I want you all to find your big stage. So it's about speaking directly to the audience, sharing his experience, but also encouraging all of you in. And the last thing there was bringing it all together with his incredibly powerful call to action. So in summary, beautiful use of the word imagine. Such a wonder word for all of us. Great self-deprecating humour to bring us all in. Fantastic use of the stage. So my suggestions, use imagine more to the audience, say what his goal is, and to alternate vocal variety. Fantastic job, and I hope you will all be up here sometime. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, everybody.
Please make welcome our next speaker, Sue Wong. Sue Wong.
Thank you, Contest Chair.
You're welcome.
Martin was a competent speaker. He was performative. When he opened, it was puckish, like a Midsummer's Night's Dream, I felt. And surely there was a link, because his humour was somewhat cheeky and impish, and I enjoyed it. His delivery was superb because he had volume and pace. Then he lowered it when he did a throwaway line. The humour I heard you warmly engage with, he invited. His face was lit, charismatic, and evocative. He transitioned into story. The nightmare, the opposite from that impish puck, was the sweating, the night sweats, and the feeling of contest, which we could all relate to, was in his mind, and he spun it out beautifully. And then he did this big dramatic pause. I remembered I had no pants on. It was a fantastic delivery of that line. And then he woke, which was great for us to know he was only dreaming. He sustained that pause beautifully. And his message in his close, that you too could be great, you could be a champion, that he had absorbed, he embedded and modelled champion qualities. His strengths were evident. If I had to give an opportunity for Martin, and he has so much, I saw glimpses of a future great speaker at the TED Talk level, perhaps more of the pause. I adored how he held that, because some of the pacing and the use of the stage, which was consummate, distracted me a little. I felt a little resistance to that by the movement, and I felt another pause, particularly timed and aligned with his ending, the invitation to all of us that we could be great, would be superb. But then that's me. In essence, Martin sustained a performative approach to his speech. He was mesmeric. His voice intonation was superb. His pitch fell away to a throwaway line at times, and the humour of that was engaging. We all laughed. He had gravitas. He had levity. He had warmth. He had cheekiness. And that puckish cheekiness, though, was we too, Martin, I heard you, we too could all be champions. Does that mean, Martin, that I could be a champion too? Thank you.
Please make welcome our next speaker, Shan Weerakoon. Shan Weerakoon.
Martin, today you were the compass who navigated us through this champion journey. Martin showed us today that the shortest distance between speaker and audience is through personal storytelling. The first thing I loved about Martin's speech was the trilogy of scenes in his story. First, he planted the seed with the story about the area contest. Then he nurtured it in the second scene with the preparation, and in the third, it blossomed into a wonderful learning and a take-home message for all of us. To this, Martin added wonderful highlights, the stage use. He went all the way back to get away from it, and then stepping forward. He added the gestures, the hand on the shoulder, and the humor, waking up with no pants on. Who could forget? Just like any compass, a great speech can use a little bit of recalibration to point to true north. My first suggestion to Martin, therefore, is to consider the placement of the audience in the scene. When a speaker delivers a personal story, it can create 2 degrees of separation from an audience's perspective. Firstly, it is somebody else's story. Second, it's delivered from a point of time in the past. The speaker can reframe the language to bridge this gap. For example, how would you feel sweating and shaking Can you imagine the weight of expectations on your shoulders? What would you do? These questions invite the audience in. We feel it right here, right now. We're experiencing it firsthand for a greater emotional connection, greater engagement. My second suggestion for Martin is to take a key expression and combine it with a signature gesture. For example, shaken but not discouraged. The words speak to our mind, the gesture to our imagination. Together they fuse together to create a compelling vocal and visual connection. Even better is to use this as a repeated pairing to delineate across the speech and to end with it, because what echoes at the end endures in our memory. Even better would be to use this gesture once the audience is familiar with it, perform the gesture, and then invite the audience to complete the expression. At that point, the speech changes from a presentation to a participation for even greater impact. What I also loved about Martin's speech was the dynamic words, nightmare into a dream, who could forget? In conclusion, if Martin continues to use deeply personal storytelling, combines the gestures, the humor, the stage use, the vocal, the dynamic words, and also invites the audience in and uses a vocal and visual connection, he will continue to deliver even more impactful speeches in the future. Martin, because of you, we feel closer to our True North Championship. Thank you.
Please make welcome our next speaker, Harshitha Rajashekara. Harshitha Rajashekara.
I am not good enough. Thank you very much, Martin, for that brilliant speech titled that big stage doesn't create champions, it reveals them. Good morning, contest chair, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. I felt the purpose of Martin's speech is to inspire the audience to become better speakers and to take that next step. The first aspect I really loved is the speech opening itself. Martin started with the speech with the word imagine. And I was transported into a different world. I started imagining. Imagine this stage is a magic. So I was hooked at the beginning of the speech. The second highlight is the usage of the body language, especially when he said that my heart was racing. Audience were looking at me. That open, confident usage of the body language added a visual appeal to the overall speech. The third and the main highlight of the speech is the rich storytelling with a clear structure. Martin had a opening with a hook, and then he had a body with a story of his preparation for the area contest, and conclusion with a strong message. Because of the rich storytelling with the structure, it was easy for me to follow throughout the speech. So where are the growth opportunities for Martin? How can Martin become an even amazing speaker? The first aspect is the title of the speech. I felt the title gave away the speech. I wanted Martin to shorten the speech, something like, "Are you a champion?" Before even Martin coming onto the stage, that particular title would have created more curiosity, anticipation. Having that lengthy title gave away the whole speech itself. The second growth opportunity for Martin. Martin had a clear pace of speaking, easy to follow, there's no nervousness in his voice, but I still felt the speech was a bit monotone. I wanted Martin to add a little bit of vocal variation. For example, adding in terms of dialogue, Martin had his friend Monica giving him that warm support. Instead of saying that Monica told me that you can do it, giving a character to Monica and saying, for example, Monica saying, "Oh, you will kill it, Martin, don't worry." So that would have added more drama, drawn the audience into his speech well. In summary, excellent opening with the brilliant use of word imagine, and usage of the body language with the heart thumping added the more visual drama to it, and the rich storytelling with a clear structure added helped me to follow the speech well. Working on cutting down on the speech, having a smaller title, Are You a Champion, would have built the curiosity and anticipation. And also including a little bit of a dialogue would have broken the monotone and added more vocal variation. Martin is not just good enough, he's an amazing speaker. Thank you. Back to you.
Please make welcome our concluding speaker for the contest, Graeme Dunlop. Graeme Dunlop.
Who here has so confidently come up on this stage and delivered a speech tailor-made to hit Toastmasters exactly where they live? This was a speech that Matt gave us about imposter syndrome, the idea that you don't belong here. I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. I don't belong here. The thing that many Toastmasters feel, I'd say especially imposters, not imposters, introverts is the word I'm looking for. Now, this is something that Matt gave us fantastically. Essentially, his message was feel the fear, use it, push through it, and become a champion. Is there anything better to tell Toastmasters? Now, there's a lot to like about Matt's speech. He opened confidently. The stage is magic. He used gestures throughout the speech. He was, I think, rarely still. He was still sometimes. He used that very well. But he walked around the stage. The use of the stage, I don't think I even walk around the stage this much. The topic that he chose, of course, his actual stage presence, I think, was quite commanding as well. So there's a real lot to like about Matt's speech. I really only have 2 suggestions for Matt's speech in the future. One, it's kind of a small one. I felt Matt's title was a little long. The title was, The Big Stage Doesn't Create Champions, it reveals them. Now that's good, but it can sometimes be better if your speech title is shorter. A stage doth not a champion make. That's probably a little elaborate and maybe about as long. How about stages don't make champions? Something like that, something that just leaves a little bit of mystery because the title, the long title, kind of explained everything. So I'd like to see a little bit of mystery. The second suggestion I have for Matt is gestures. Matt's gestures were great, but to me you really need to commit to them, make them big. So when we talk about you can be a champion, more like you can be a champion. I know of 2 ways to do this. One is to practice your gestures so much that they're natural, or to get up here and speak so much that you are not self-conscious about making big gestures, that you start to speak through your gestures. In summary, fantastic speech. Suggestion, shorten title and really commit to your gestures. Matt, thank you for challenging all of us to become champions by feeling the fear, using it, and becoming champions. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Graeme. So let's have a drum roll for our 3rd place winner. Bigger than that, come on. So our 3rd place winner is Annie Martin. Wonderful.
So a drum roll for second place, big second place, is Shan Weerakoon. So that only leaves us with our winner. It's so exciting. The tension is building. I think we can do a bigger drum roll with that. So our winner of the 2026 District 73 Evaluation Speech Contest is Harshitha.